and I didn't mind. I feel like hustle is just like a part of who I am. And so it was really easy for me to be like, hey girl, have you gotten your senior pictures taken yet? And she's like, no. And I'm like, let me hook you up.
Damn.
And then I'm like, tell your friend. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's not about the camera for me. It's about who I'm connecting with, how I'm connecting with them, and how I'm selling myself.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Today you're joining me with Rebecca Slaughter. Rebecca is a photographer, both lifestyle, editorial, and I think I said lifestyle already. I know there's a third one on your Instagram. But point being is you're a great photographer as the overarching theme. How's it going, Rebecca?
Thank you. It's going well. You know, we're amidst quarantine, doing what we can.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, I kind of briefed you before we started about this being very of an origin podcast, right? And so the one thing I was very curious about is how you got into photography in the first place.
It was purely accidental. I actually signed up for photo classes in high school to balance out my really hard schedule. I was doing like all advanced prep courses and was like, okay, I need something easier as an elective. Let me do this. And so the first year I took photography at school was the first year they did digital, and they took out the darkroom, which I'm super bummed about because I never got to learn that. And I just kept doing it because it was easy. And then I actually ended up really like diving into that artist side, and it actually became a means to survival. I ended up in a really shitty situation my senior year, and it paid for meals and housing, etc. Unbelievably.
So that was all paid for with photography?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was homeless.
Oh,
so it didn't have very much bills, but I was like, wow, okay, I have this gift. I can charge people like $50 a session. When you're, 17 in 2011, things are not that expensive. So it really like saved my life. And I just kept doing it. I wouldn't have this like burning like passion for it probably until like 5 years ago. And then I was like, wow, I've got to do this forever. But back then I was just like, oh, I'm really good at this. Maybe I should keep doing it. Cause like I didn't have any other friends that I saw with a gift that like had even the opportunity to pursue. And I felt like it was a gift and it was an honor of mine. So I kind of was like, why not?
Yeah. And so what was it that you found out like you were good at? Was it was the composition side of things? You felt natural talking to people out on the camera? Like how did you just like in your heart kind of know?
I feel like I really enjoyed the editing side of things. And I learned that I was a good little mini business owner at the time. I loved working with people, doing exchanges, marketing myself. I really started liking that. And I'm a great communicator, and I loved networking. I think it was really never about like the camera, it was like everything but that.
Interesting. Okay. That's very like Annie Leibovitz kind of style. Okay. Right. Cause I feel like she said like if you see the Mash Class commercial, like I'm not a technical photographer.
Yeah.
Well, so I definitely want to unpack that, right? So you're talking about like you're homeless and paying for this. I feel like there are a lot of photographers in their 20s and 30s that are like still trying to figure out how to get a client. How did you hustle, not in a bad way, but how did you get clients as a 17-year-old?
I feel like I've always been quite the socialite. I don't think that will ever change about me. I was one of those one of those kids that got in trouble for talking in class since I was old enough to talk.
Okay.
So I always was super friendly, had lots of friends in different friend groups, and I didn't mind. I feel like hustle is just like a part of who I am. And so it was really easy for me to be like, hey girl, have you gotten your senior pictures taken yet? And she's like, no. And I'm like, let me hook you up.
Damn.
And then I'm like, tell your friend. It didn't scare me. It never scared me to be like, hey, look, check me out. Like, see what I can do. And if you like what I do, share with your people. So just that. And then the next year actually rolled on really amazingly because I knew some of the juniors. So when they turned to be seniors, I got so many clients and it was beautiful.
Yeah. So then how did the transition come from you trying to figure out like your buddy's, high school photos to you shooting with Mini Cooper? Did you just go to
I would say I just stuck to it. I'm almost a decade to being a business owner.
Okay.
And I just really stuck to it. I just I did what felt right. And so I did families and senior portraits for years. And then one day I was like, this is horrible. I hate doing this. Like, what else can I do? And then I started trying to model, and actually got declined for that quite a bit back around 2012 because of my size, which is unreal now. But I like that kind of style of photography, so I want to learn how to shoot it. And then I started doing more editorial, fashion things. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's not about the camera for me. It's about who I'm connecting with, how I'm connecting with them, and how I'm selling myself. So I've been really blessed to have the quality of connecting and being like, hey, you should hire me. I've never shot that before, but I would never say it. I would take the job and then try it, and then get in trouble later for not having ever shot a car campaign or anything like that. I'm always the type of person to throw myself into something before I know what I'm doing. I'm always, what is the saying? Don't ask permission, ask forgiveness.
I just learned that saying too, and it helps. I
live by that shit, unfortunately. It's good and bad, but it's got me a lot of places, and I've had a lot of fun because of it.
Oh yeah, it's I've learned it's you, in your own side, it's cool because you're able to just move forward constantly and you keep momentum. But if you do it and wrong someone else, you're like, oh well, I didn't know, right? So I totally get it. Very cool. Yeah. And do you think have you always been like that, or is that little bout of being homeless kind of taught you, okay, I can't be scared anymore, I just have to keep hustling, and that kind of translated into business?
I think a lot of it, we all have a specific, unique genetic makeup and a story that we are supposed to live and that we're supposed to tell. And I think the more you let that story into your heart and your mind and you live it, the better off you'll be, to where it is this serendipitous journey. But I can tell you that before I was homeless, I definitely wasn't as hard and as of a go-getter as I became. It was a really, truly night and day shift for me, because I got angry before anything else. And I'm actually super into psychology. And the thing about anger is you're in a position of change. So if you're sad, you're apathetic, you don't really know what to do, you're not really going to do anything. But when I was homeless, I was so mad that it led so much changed behavior for me and around me, because I was led by this, I was fueled by negativity and proving people wrong and doing things on my own. And then after that, I've never been the same. And now we're almost 10 years later, and I'm I'm still actually unraveling that piece of me where I'm not trying to prove people wrong anymore. I'm not really fueled by negativity, but it fucking completely launched me.
Yeah, no, I relate. So I won't get into kind of this journey, but I definitely have a very similar origin story for some cool reason. But so I get that. But I ended up not channeling into art until now. But that's cool. That's very admirable either way, nonetheless, right? Well, cool, Rebecca. So then, obviously that was the high school part, right? Where kind of everything went down. When did you feel you were able to transition or grow from that to be more stable, I guess?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what year I went full time. I think I've been maybe 2015 I went full time, so 5 years.
Okay.
I didn't really feel it. I was just I'm such a horrible employee. I have so many ideas, and I think I'm right all the time. So if a boss tells me otherwise, I'm well, maybe you consider doing it like this. And meanwhile, I'm at a corporate company that gives no fucks about my opinion.
Yeah.
And I value myself so much. So when I'm talked to you like that, I'm oh, this is not going to work for me. I would rather be homeless again than work for you. So with this insane mindset that I had for years, I got myself to a lot of places, and I never was in a hole because I'd always dig myself out. And so that's where that transition and me going full time was just me continually going balls to the wall. But I feel the least balls to the wall I'm going is now, where I'm less of okay, I'm just getting older. It's not as important to me to be so fast paced. But I've just had this undeniable belief in myself. Since 2011, since I started, I've always believed in myself, and I've been pretty fearless. And those are qualities that are deep rooted.
Yeah. That's very inspirational. Sorry, I totally let me know about your photography style, and then now we're talking about this, which is not
No,
bad.
I love it. I mean, that's the thing is why I love doing interviews and stuff like this because, and I love the industry that I'm in, and I love that the look and what I represent as a female because it's everything I'm not supposed to. My industry is so vapid and it's so about vanity, and I love being in it because I am tearing walls down. Like I am having conversations and I'm telling a story that you just don't see very often in this industry, and it fuels me even more because sure it's about art, sure it's about photography or whatever skill or career that you're in, but truthfully at the end of the day, let's talk about our hearts because that's actually what matters, and that's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning.
So, and that's a perfect segue, right? When I came across your page, so I actually found you from Diana Kimmy, who I was planning a shoot with. And when
cool.
Yeah, I just did a shoot with her last
crazy.
weekend. So
Stunning.
when I came across your page, like, so obviously, like, all the shots are like women, right? But so zombie, lack of better words, right? But all the shots of the women themselves, you make them look beautiful, which is, I feel, different from a very angsty, here's another chick in her underwear vibe that I feel is very prominent on Instagram. But I don't know if maybe it's subjective, right? But like, how do you nail that look and not kind of fall into that copy and paste look that's, again, big on Instagram?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have been doing this before it was trendy. I've been a photographer before it was trendy, which also kind of made, I think, my career maybe a bit easier because I didn't have as much competition as you see today if you're to start photography today. But also, I just think it's the, like, it's so much like the depth of who I am as a person, and like I genuinely care about the girls that I work with, and I value so deeply that they are willing to, you know, like basically get naked in front of me and shoot. Like it's a very intimate thing, and I don't take advantage of it at all. And I think as a female that's been on the other side of the camera, I'm able to kind of carry that out in a different way than you see. And you know, unfortunately, a lot of these dudes that shoot lingerie or bikini have made a bad name for that type of photography style because they have wrong intentions, and that's never been mine. You know, it's my thing. When I'm shooting, I lose myself. Like there's no sense of time. There's no sense of anything. I'm just creating art, and it's really unfortunate that sometimes it can get looked at in negative ways because it's like my soul connecting with the world.
Interesting. Okay. And then so what is like so say like I was a model, like what's a shoot with you like? Like how do you come in, you already have like a plan, like, hey, we're gonna shoot these shots, or do you like, hey, just be you and then I will just kind of figure out what looks beautiful for you? Like how do you kind of collaborate in that manner?
For the most part, I'm super go with the flow. I'm very like go with the flow, like with life in general. So that's definitely my photography style. I love shooting with girls where I'm like, hey, you know, bring your favorite fits, do your makeup or get your makeup done. What's your vibe? Like, what's more important to you? What do you feel more confident in? And I've got a dope ass space. Like that's what I can provide. And then like my quality of work. And then let's just see like what we can come up with. Like, I feel like the beauty is like making it up as you go. Obviously there's times where that doesn't make sense, but yeah, I love the collaboration piece of it.
So you're definitely more of a painter in that regard, where you're like, okay, we're just gonna show up and then let's see what comes. That's
Totally.
Interesting. Okay. So then, like, obviously I talked about that part, but you shoot more than just models, right? What is, in your regard, like, what is your style? Like, how do you like define your look?
I mean, when people ask me, it's so hard. Like, what do you do for work? I'm like, well, I'm a photographer. And sometimes I leave it at that. Or sometimes I try to leave it at that. But they ask, like, what do you shoot? I say, I specialize in women. So I'd say that's my specialty, is working with women in the capacity of I can communicate with women well. And I feel that I can understand them well and read them. And so it helps the photography style, whether I'm shooting headshots, business owners, models, bikini, lingerie, whatever, what have you. And I personally, like I said earlier, I feel like a calling on my heart that I'm supposed to support women. I'm supposed to go hard for women in my lifetime a little bit more than maybe your average person, and that's totally fine. But in doing so, I empower them by taking their photo. So that's like, I guess, the best way to put it.
No, definitely. That makes sense. Okay. And you could, I know, like, well, not know, but definitely following your page for what I've been following, that empower vibe is always there. Because not even just the women, but, like, you definitely been kind of a champion for the Black Lives Matter kind of vibe on your Instagram, too. So it's like, okay, you're someone that
you bet
really,
your ass.
Yeah, you're someone that really cares, you know? It just...
Yeah, I know. And to be honest, touching that, like, I've never really shared my opinions on social media whatsoever. I feel I've done a really good job at keeping certain like parts of my life private, just because social media is like sucks you in. But I feel so much better that because of this movement, I'm able to have a voice in it, where it is touching more like political side and a little bit more of my personal opinion on the world that I live in. But the most beautiful thing about the movement for me is I'm realizing like how much culture that these drag queens that were starting culture like 30, 40 years ago, I live in because of the champions that they were. Like my earrings, my hair, the way I speak, all of that really got rooted from this culture that is screaming out right now. And I would be denying, I feel like, my own people if I didn't have a voice and champion them. But for example, when there was like the Women's March and everything, I actually didn't go. And for me, I was like, my calling with women is one-on-one. It's like a girl's walking through my door. She's about to undress in front of me. And we're going to take all these beautiful photos. Like, I feel called that. So I honestly just do whatever my heart feels called to. And I really felt called to protest.
No, that makes sense. And I feel like, yeah, like, because like you're saying, like, I think because the way social media sucks you in when you're before, 2 months ago, right? If you did, either you would kind of get labeled like, you're preaching and you're posting it, but now it's like, I think people are realizing, I guess people are a lot more receptive to it. Like, oh, okay, no, I get it now. I guess this has been a thing for a while. It's like, what do you mean it has been? Like, of course it's been a thing. But
right, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. And I just like, of course, I look at my following and I'm like, oh, I don't have this much following compared to like that person, and as we all do. But it's my due diligence as someone that has 20,000 people looking at my page to speak up, and I am really empowered to continue to do that in the future.
Well, so on that note, so you mentioned like you have the 20K followers and you kind of have like an influence in some regard, right? When it comes time to whether it was over the past 2 months or before then or moving forward, do you like plan out, okay, I'm going to post this today, or I'm going to post this, but how will people react to it? Like, do you have that? I feel like you don't because of your vibe, but maybe there's a process to it.
I mean, of course it crosses my mind. I'd be lying to say if I wasn't like, oh, I wonder how people will respond to this, comments, likes, etc. But I think that for me, from day one, I've been like, this is mine. This is mine, so I'm going to treat it like that. Like, the pressure of like posting certain times, certain days, certain hashtags, like, it's just not me. And I did it for a little bit, but it just doesn't add value to me as a person or a brand. Like, I am a walking representation of my brand because I literally am my brand walking around every day.
Yeah.
The best I can do to like for my mental health is to be as true to that as possible. And so no, I don't really plan that. Like, I definitely like plan my feed as far as like aesthetic goes. I have an app that I use to see like which pictures I will like next to each other. And so that's it. I'm obsessed with that though.
What app is that? Can I know?
It's called UNUM.
Okay.
It's awesome. I know a few people that use it. A blogger introduced it to me, but yeah, I do that. And then aside from that, I just post whatever. And sometimes I know it's not going to get shit likes, but I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, this is for me.
Yeah.
Like, people that do see it, like, love it. If you don't see it, like, maybe you'll see it later. If not, it's not a big deal. I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so on that brand note, right? So where did Rebecca Slaughter come from? Like that. Why did that brand name come from? I thought that was dope, but I was like, oh, damn, she already got it.
Thank you. It's such a great name to have, and it's really helped establish Rebecca Slaughter more than any other name would have. It's just my last name. So my whole life, people have been like, is this seriously your name? Like, literally, I will like hand my ID to someone, and they're like, is this your name? Yeah, it's my last name.
Oh, dope. I mean, well, that's dope. That goes back to the very authentic you, right? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I go hard for Slaughter. Like, seriously, I've already decided, like, everything I do is Rebecca Slaughter. Unfortunately, I'm one of those assholes that like introduces myself as Rebecca Slaughter. And I decided a long time ago that if I get married, it's always going to be Rebecca Slaughter. Mm-hmm. And I want my kids to have Slaughter just because I'm so proud. I'm so proud of what I've done. And I thought about changing it. Back when I first started, I was like, oh, what should my photography business be called? And then I was just like, just keep it Rebecca Slaughter. Keep it simple.
Yeah. So, well, I'm sure I could come up with reasons, but like, do you feel like an asshole when you introduce Rebecca Slaughter? Where you're like, I know what I'm doing, but fuck it. Where you're like, well, this is my name. Why should I be embarrassed? Like, how do you rationalize it?
Yeah. So I mean, like, I navigate it where I'm like, this person may perceive me as an asshole because I'm saying it this way, but is it worth doing it anyway? Because a lot of the time in Denver, if I introduce myself with my last name, people be like, oh yeah, like, I know who you are, you know, like, and then we can have a great, like, we can have a deeper conversation because I've gotten rid of that piece of it already, which is awesome. I love that. And then for the people that don't know me, I'm like, I'm Rebecca Slaughter. I'm not Rebecca. I'm not like, I'm a business woman, and I want you to know my name if you're going to know me. And it's always Rebecca Slaughter. Mm-hmm. So I feel like either way it adds value, and I definitely take a risk of like looking or sounding like an asshole by doing so. Because like sometimes I'll be like, you know, shake my hand in a group of people and I'm like, hi, I'm Rebecca Slaughter. And they're like, okay, cool, got it. And then they'll say my last name and I'm like, it's not the same, sweetie. It's just not.
Yeah. No, totally. It makes sense.
I'm a little sassy, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, going back to, you mentioned like the high school part, like, I feel like your vibe has always been like, hey, like, just straight to the point. It's like, okay, cool. I know what I'm getting. I don't have to worry about what face do you have. You have one face.
100%.
Well, so on the note of taking risk, right? Well, maybe it's not risk. So what's up with the move from Denver to LA? What's the story behind that?
I have wanted to live in LA since I was like 18. And just because what the industry is in Denver, it's better than in LA. So that's really it. And I always wanted to do it. And I always had the courage, but it never felt right. Like I said, I've done a lot of hard work over the years, a lot of studying myself and emotions and trauma and things like that, because I've been through a lot. And the path always caught me back in Colorado. And so I have some great roots in Denver, and I'm so proud of them, and I'm so grateful. I mean, I fly back there literally like once a month. I was still running a business out there, and I have so many clients still. So I just fucking love it. But so it's actually very hard to leave. And so that's what actually planting myself here felt right, and I was finally in the position in my personal life to get here.
Okay. And was the calling to do photography there, or more just like, there's something about LA I just know, is there something there for me there that I have to go to?
Yeah, no, I think that it's all of the above. I think that my entire career is a lot of different branches, and I've seen that flourish in Colorado, and I know that it can also flourish in Los Angeles. And I just know that I'm meant for more. Unfortunately, I love Colorado, but I just know that I'm meant for more.
Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah.
Yeah, they can't do it there, and that's okay.
The business you're referring to, is that like, do you mean photography business, or is it totally something else?
No, so I'm so excited. I am, as far as 2020 is concerned and quarantine is concerned, I have 2 new businesses I'm going to start operating here soon, hopefully. I have 2 partners. They're both male, and I love that energy because I am all about female energy. But at the end of the day, what matters most is big dick energy. And these 2 have fucking got it, and I've known these guys forever. And these businesses really, like I said, serendipitously began. And so it'll require more of my time in Colorado coming forward. But one of them is going to be like marketing, branding. So there'll be photography, videography, and we'll go into a little bit more detail there. And then the other one is my friend and I are starting a retreat company. So not like traveling anywhere or anything like that. It's more of like the hard work that I keep talking about. Like, I love that. And I actually used to host girls' nights. I think I did it for like 2.5 years, where I would invite as many girls I've ever met in my life. I told them, I literally opened my door, put my home address like on Facebook publicly, and was like, come over. I cooked everyone dinner, and then I made everybody sit in a circle, and we went around, and I had a prompt every night, and we went around and like asked questions. And like one of my favorite questions was like, for example, what makes you feel worthy? So we would go around in a circle, and like hearts will bust open. And I am the kind of person that can take that energy and cultivate it into like something more productive or more friendships. That time in my life was incredible. And so I want to quantify that a little bit more with men and women with my new partner. And we're going to make that into an actual business, because when I was doing it before, it was just for fun. So I really am excited to see where that goes. Mm-hmm. And everything's related to photography, which is great.
Yeah, no, I totally believe you on that one.
Yeah, it is.
So you have this like loud personality, right? But it seems like you're also good at getting people to be vulnerable. Do you just come at them hard and then it force them to open up, or do you like soften it for them and then they just like, oh my God, like you're not as scary as I thought? Like, how do you?
That's so amazing. Thank you for pointing that out. I really admire that quality in myself, and it's so nice to like have that kind of like spit back to me. Mm-hmm. Both approaches work. You have to read the person that you're speaking to. Mm-hmm. Both approaches work. I mean, I'd say more often than not, I'm like, hey, what's up? Oh, you're good? Well, you don't look good. So like, do you want to talk about it? Because I'd love to hear it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm super straightforward, but then there's sometimes where I just listen and listen and listen. And then someday that person, like, for example, like a few girls would come to girls' nights and not really talk. And then probably their fourth one, they would come and they just crack like a fucking egg. But I was there, and they knew that it was a safe place, and that everybody that came was also safe. And so I know that my line of communication is intense for some people, and it doesn't always work. But I think because I'm so like aggressively vulnerable, somehow it works. But it's like literally my favorite thing.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I feel like you have that because I feel like energy is not even like you have to be a woman to appreciate. Like, I think it's just anyone can appreciate it, right? Whatever you identify as. And so I think people's like, oh shit, like you're just being you. Like, I've been trying to do that for like 10 years. I don't know how to do it. It's like, just do it. Like, okay.
Exactly. Courage inspires courage. So when you walk in the line in the path and drive in the lane that you're supposed to be in, mm-hmm. you will inspire someone else to do the same, you know? Mm-hmm. I've seen that shit happen in front of my eyes on multiple occasions. I believe in it more than anything else in the world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, I believe you now. It's not like all the energy comes. It's good energy. Please.
Good. I love it. That's what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my path. And like, I knew that at a young age, and I honestly I wasn't a believer of God until I was like 23. Okay. And then I was like, oh shit, everything makes sense. But it's still the same, you know, like I was just always meant to be this girl, and I always listened to my heart. Mm-hmm. And I continue to do so, and it continues to lead me on the right path. And so I just hope that like me, like going so hard in my own lane, I hope it really inspires others to do the exact same. Mm-hmm. Because we all have a different reason to make this world go round.
Mm-hmm. So do you have bad days where like, do those just not exist?
Yes, absolutely. You cannot be as like energetic and powerful energy and as like high highs as I get without having low lows. And I think that it's not talked about enough, because I can tell you, like, in my low lows, I felt so alone. But the more I open up about it, again, when you start being courageous, you run into more courageous people. A lot of artists and creatives that I know that even actually are the opposite end of energy that I am, mm-hmm. the back and forth, like, it's impossible. I honestly it's impossible to not have, like, really low days. And so where I've gone with that is... it's acceptance. It's going to happen. So how are you going to breathe that in as much as you breathe in positive energy when you're surrounded by people, when life is good, when you're getting opportunities, when you're financially well? How do you treat yourself in the opposite form? Because that's actually truly how you feel about yourself. And so this radical acceptance of, you know, I actually am just going to lay in bed all day. I actually did that 2 days ago. I was like, dude, I've worked 12 days fucking straight. Mm-hmm. I'm getting like irritable. What does that look like? I think I'm just going to watch TV
Mm-hmm.
and play on my phone. But accepting that and not guilting yourself the next day for doing so. A lot of entrepreneurs do that, and it's almost impossible not to be like, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing this, but like, you got to feed the soul first.
Yeah, like you at times, like you gotta recognize, like you're still human, right? You gotta breathe, and everyone else does it. Why can't you do it? It's like, guys, I got
Totally.
Yeah, there's I'll totally send this to you after our call. Right, there's a podcast. It's a punk band called Rotting Out, but the singer or the frontman, he talks about the idea of like having this like knife in your back pocket all the time and feeling like you're always like on the edge. But same thing, I think you've gone through that where it becomes a lifestyle, but now as you slowly start to have more self-love and acceptance, you're like, it's okay, like I don't have to be on the run all the time, like I could slow down and it's okay to enjoy life. Like, what the fuck? Why didn't I not think about that 5 years ago?
Yes, and for me, I learn a lot by example, and like I said, I'm a people person. I've surrounded myself by many people, and unfortunately, I've seen the really bad downside of what it looks like to work yourself into oblivion. I've seen how it affects people's businesses, their health, their mental health, and I don't want to be that, and like I want to be the opposite.
No, I definitely get it. Can I go a small hard left real quick?
Please.
Okay, cool. Just want to change up the flow. So one thing I was curious about, and like it's low-key personal curious about, what are your mentor sessions like?
Oh, they are so uniquely tailored to who is wanting to be mentored and what they're wanting to talk about. For me, like I said, I'm so go with the flow. So when someone messages me and they're wanting to do a mentoring session, I email them and I'm like, hey, like send me a list of what you're interested in, what you want to talk about. Then I will do my own part there and like study and write things down because obviously you're paying for my time. So I do invest in that piece. I'm not just like, hey, what's up? And then it's just like you get someone on the phone and they're like, oh, I want to talk about my business plan. And you actually just end up talking about like life trauma, like just like we are, like, oh yeah, let's talk about photography, but it's like we're not actually talking about photography. And so if a person like wants to stay on the free topic 100%, but I'm always going to cut deep every time.
Yeah, no, I believe you. I'm sure everyone else believes you now at this point. Like you'll see the vulnerable and you're like jump right on there, like let's talk about that real quick. And then okay.
Yeah, but then I want to be continued resource, right? Like I feel like asking people to open up and then being like, okay, cool, see ya is so fucked. And so like beyond that, if we share things or if I can still be a support system in some capacity, I will. Or if I can give the mentee resources, after that, I'd love to do that. Like I love connecting people. So there's a few people that I've mentored that we stay in touch lately or in whatever capacity they need it. Like I'm here and I know how to not overextend myself. So I'm here for it.
So on that part of like mentoring, so it sounds like there's no like, not in a bad way, like it's not really, there's like a structure. Okay, you're paying for this plan, so we're gonna do A, B, and C. You really do cater it to whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's you can do one session with me and it's a little bit more just like, okay, let's chat. And then I have the more advanced, the more involved where there's 3 sessions and I have a little bit of a program there, but again, there's not a lot of pressure around it.
When did you start doing those? Is that like something recent or like it's something you've always?
No, actually I started doing mentoring in 2016, 17.
Okay.
Because people were asking and I was like, okay, I don't know. Like you never feel qualified for something like that until like people start asking for it. And then you're like, me? Like, you want me to mentor? Oh my God, seriously? Okay. And so I made it so that it was something that was accessible for those wanting to learn.
Do you, especially being in LA, which is just like art fucking competition, right? Do you ever get this vibe of like, man, maybe I'm training my competitor right now? Or you're like, no, you're just another person I'm trying to help out.
Yeah, no. One of my favorite policies that a very important person taught me was it cannot be competition if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like there's a million photographers out there and there's a million photographers that shoot exactly what I shoot. But as long as I'm sticking to like my vision and what I want, the world is abundantly full of opportunities for me and you.
Cool, very cool. Well, hey Rebecca, I know we're nearing time. I wanted to ask you one last question. You've been doing photography for what, 8-9 years now, almost a decade. You definitely have, I feel like I've seen it all and mentored people, worked with a lot of people. From your perspective, what do you think is something or one aspect that you feel limits photographer or models from growing as one?
Yourself. 100%. Like, you have to believe in yourself. Like, you can't, like, it's good to like look at people for inspiration as a model or a photographer, you know, like, oh, I love that person's work, it inspires me to do this shoot or this look or this type of style. But like I said before, you are this cultivated version of all these things that you take in. And so there's enough. The world is abundant if you see it that way. The world is empty if you see it that way. So just stop getting in your way and believe that the opportunity is there for you. It may not look like how you expected or wanted or needed, but it will be there. And so I think that the biggest thing to hold you back is absolutely yourself. Like, you just have to, if you get, I mean, for all the successful people that we know about, the celebrities and athletes, how they were told, this is so cliche, but like, you have to be told no a fucking lot. There's not very many yeses. There's so many more no's, and you have to face that reality. And so what are you doing in the meantime to work that muscle that says, I believe in me?
Damn. Well, I appreciate that. Like, forget the camera. I appreciate that. That's dope. Okay. Well, cool, Rebecca. I really do appreciate you taking the time to chat with me for this hour.
Dude, hell yeah. I mean, I'm so glad that I'm honored that you asked me, and I'm even more honored that I can tell that this conversation, you know, you're going to step away a little different from what I had to say.
There's a lot of planning from a year from now that I'm like only my small circle knows, and a part of me is like, I don't want to tell anyone just yet, but it's also like pretty much to pursue a similar path as you, right?
Dude,
I feel like the type two, but yeah.
Out in the universe, if those people do not support you, they're not for you, but they will.
Yeah.
You're just got to get out of your way. But like, plant the seeds, even if it is a year out. Plant those seeds.
Yeah, hence this podcast. That's kind of what.
Exactly. No, I fucking love it. My friends are like, "Wait, what's it for?" And I was like, "Layla, she is."
You called that.
Tyler, let her out, please. I was like, "It's not a big publication. It's just like an artist that interviews artists. Like, I don't need it to be."
Yeah.
Like, just doing your thing, dude, is so cool. It's so important. Like, I'm literally here for it, if you can't tell.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that. I'm glad to have you in my network now. Like, I definitely.
Dude, of course. Fuck, I'm honored.
Very cool. Well, hey, Rebecca, where can people find you? How can people follow you, get you to be their mentor? How does all that work?
Everything is Rebecca Slaughter. So Instagram at Rebecca Slaughter. If you on Facebook, Rebecca Slaughter. Email me, Rebecca@RebeccaSlaughter.com. You find your way. It's really easy. There's only one of me. Well, there's actually this other girl. She's like a politician, but you'll be able to tell the difference.
I'm sure there's the stark contrast there. Well, hey, Rebecca, I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to run upstairs before my time runs out. But I appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon, all right?
Of course. We'll chat soon. Thank you. So nice to meet you, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate taking the time to chat and for being very vulnerable and inspirational at the same time.
Of course. Have a good night.
Dope. Have a good night. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.